if you're teaching seminary or come follow me this week, this might be a good object lesson for you. One time, while serving as a stake counselor for the Naga Philippine Stake of Zion sa Bicol region. I visited this ward. I was assigned to speak during sacrament meeting in the Naga second ward, and then I was prompted to share about sustaining leaders. And then one time, before preparing for my uh, to speak in sacrament meeting, I was prompted to refer back to the story of Moses, Aaron and her in Exodus 17, which is this week's Come Follow Me lesson. And then what I did is to emphasize the value of sustaining leaders and how important it is for us to sustain our local leaders. Um, I grab a couple of hymn books. This is not my original idea. I think I've read this. I've read this in one of the materials of the church for seminary or institute. I grab, I think I grab 8 hymn books. The green ones that you usually see on sacrament halls or sacrament building. And Bishop asked me, "Dami naman yan, Mike." I think I said, "Yung nga ni-" I don't know, I forgot. Anyway, what I did when I was it was my time to share my message. I asked Bishop to stand beside me in front of the congregation at the pulpit, and then I asked him, Bishop, babasahin ko to, and then let's act it out in the scriptures. So when I read Exodus chapter 17, verses 9 to 12, I will be reading portions of it. In verse 9, Moses said unto Joshua, "Choose us out men, and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand." So at this time, I invited Bishop to stand beside me in front of the congregation at the pulpit. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Let's imagine the pulpit is the hill. And in verse 11, and it came to pass when Moses held up his hands that Israel prevailed. So I asked Bishop to hold up his hand like this, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed, or the enemy, the Amalekites. And then I asked the congregation, who's our enemy? Probably our individual weaknesses, our pride, or whatever enemy that we have that might weaken the the saints or the congregation. And then verse 12, this is the funny part. But Moses' hands were heavy. So at this time, what I did, I grabbed the 8 hymn books. I put 4 hymn books on his left hand, which are at this time held up like this. And I put 4 on the left hand and 4 on the right hand. And going back to what Bishop said a while ago, ang dami naman yan, Mike. Sabi ko, kulang pa nga yan, Bishop. Imagine, what if I placed 10 hymn books on the left and another 10 on the right hand? But that's exaggeration. So I just grabbed 4 on each hand. But Moses' hands were heavy. Let's skip some parts of the scripture. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands. So I asked Bishop at this time, Bishop, mabigat na ba yung kamay mo? Sabi niya, mabigat na, Mike. So sabi ko, sino ba, Bishop, yung Aaron and Hur sa tingin mo sa position mo as a bishop? So he looked at his 2 counselors which are seated at the back. So tinawag namin yung 2 counselors. pum pumunta sila sa isa sa left, isa sa right ni bishop. And then what they did was they stayed up his hands. The one on the one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And then I told the congregation, my talk is just 10-minute long, so we don't have much time to wait until the coming down of the sun. So that time, the congregation and the bishop with his counselors saw how sustaining um, was done in the church. But I'm not sure if they still remember the lesson. But that lesson stayed with me until this day. That our bishops, local stake presidents, for sure they have weaknesses, shortcomings in their position and their callings. But that, for me personally, are not grounds for us not to sustain them. In fact, that's the very reason why we are there. We may not be counselors for the bishop, but we can help sustain or stayed up the bishop's or the stake president's hands, or whoever we are sustaining during stake conferences, war conferences, general conferences, that we can help their hands stayed up until the going down of the sun, or until such time that our life ends on earth. Again, some of you may say, oh, probably not my bishop. My bishop's is this and that. Again, that's the very reason why we are there, to help steady their hands, because we, as the children of Israel, or the Israelites, or the people of God, or God's chosen people, needed the that person's help, be it Moses, the current prophet, or the current bishop, or someone we need sustaining. Because if we don't, the children of Israel will perish, either physical or spiritual. So, what do you think? Um, have you realized the importance of sustaining or help the students, or your students, or your members of the ward, if you use this object lesson in your class or in the home? Let me know what your thoughts in the comments. Now stop watching this and go study the Old Testament.